editor-in-chief at the International Interest. Sami, thanks for joining us here on TRT World. Now tell me, what do these results mean for the future of the political landscape of Morocco?
It means a successful return of the king. It means the king has successfully navigated the Arab Spring. It means the king, who was very worried about the Arab Spring protests that took place in the beginning of 2011. It means that the king of Morocco has successfully managed to afford concessions when he needed to and then take back the power for himself. The king in the beginning decided to afford the space and empower parliament as a concession to the Moroccan people, who are upset with decades of the king's rule in terms of its inability to produce the employment opportunities, the social mobility, dealing with poverty and tackling some of the economic crises. The king initially put forward those concessions. The people believed that the Freedom and Justice and Development Party, or i.e. the Muslim Brotherhood, would be the ones, the lightning rod. They would be the ones who would be able to force the king to really bring about those developments. But it appears that the Muslim Brotherhood, as a result of a number of regional dynamics or the like, ended up merely implementing policies that the Moroccan people had voted them in to resist, whether that's with regards to strengthening the French language in Morocco, whether that's with regards to normalization of ties, which the Islamist government was silent on and seemed to welcome it in the spirit of trying to hold on to power.
Right.
So what we're seeing is twofold. What we're seeing is a large number of apathy towards the parliamentary elections. And
Right.
we're also seeing people essentially saying that we no longer have faith in these people who we trusted to push back against the king, and there's no hope left for this political system.
Right. Now, Sami, I understand that final results have not been announced yet, but the PJD is already accusing rivals of buying votes. Is that likely to change the outcome of the elections?
I think it's important to put what's taking place into context, particularly with regard to this accusation. The king, over the past 10 years, as he's gotten stronger and as parliament has become more unpopular, and as the Muslim Brotherhood have become more unpopular in failing to deliver on their policies, the king has embarked on steps to weaken the parliament. And part of that has been introducing a new election law, which based the number of results based on registered voters, not on the number of votes cast. And no other country in the world does this. This means that where the Freedom and Justice and Development Party got 125 seats in 2016, they would have actually got 80 seats or 70 seats under this new system. So there is this attempt to dilute parliament, to further paralyze it, to make people hate it even more. With regards to the accusations of buying votes and the like, the reality is this is a phenomenon across the Arab Spring, and it would not be surprising to see it in Morocco. In Tunisia, with the home place of the Arab Spring, we saw certain parties delivering cardboard boxes with macaroni and cheese and water and fizzy drinks, and providing cigarette packets to people in exchange for their votes. And this was done on a national scale, a widespread scale, and the Electoral Commission didn't know how to deal with this sort of phenomenon. But it's important to stress that with 96% of the votes counted, and it appears the Freedom and Justice and Development Party appeared to have only about 12 seats or less than 20 seats. I think it's more than just votes being bought. I think it's more than just the king having changed the electoral laws in his favor. It is about this idea that they've been in power for 10 years and they failed to understand why they were voted for in the first place. They were voted to push back against the king, not to accommodate him. They were voted to take power for the people, not to allow the king to restore that power for himself. And they ended up becoming part of the system. And the king succeeded in offering concessions in the beginning, driving the people to hate the parliament, and that was, of course, compounded by parliament's inability to deliver. And now the king is finally a resurgent, taking that power for himself. He has two allies now who have secured the largest number of seats. He is in firm control of the economic policy, firm control of the foreign policy. The people don't see an avenue through which to enact change after the failure of the last 10 years. So the king essentially says, the people now have no hope left. That's good. I'm strong. I'm back in power. That's perfectly great. And there's no lightning rod anymore for any such Arab Spring protests. And in the wider context, and I finish on this point, in the wider context, this is perhaps a dark day for the Islamist movement in the region generally, given that Tunisia, Qais Said has done a coup against the parliament in which they had the largest share. Sisi did his coup in 2013, and it appears he is getting ever stronger. Turkey and Qatar, which are the parties that supported the Arab Spring, have decided to reconcile with Egypt, UAE, and Saudi Arabia, the
Certainly.
anti-democracy axis.
Right. So, I mean, many
because of their own
developments taking
domestic
place
interests and their own,
in Morocco. Certainly, the next few days are going to be extremely crucial for the country. Sami Hamdi in London, thank you very much for talking to us here on TRT World.